Hello there, and welcome to the Fast Farming Community's Guide to Dragonfall. Dragonfall is a long-standing staple of our community and the very map due to which it was created. Due to this, and the fact that its profitability is really good at worst and absolutely insane at best, depending on the market situation, you will see a lot of our commanders running Dragonfall. Dragonfall runs quite often end up being our longest despite its simplicity, and as always, even though it is simple, there are details that can make running this map far better than the average LFG run. We will be covering all such details in this video. Before I begin talking about the map itself, I want to reflect, as always, on the circumstances of our runs. This guide presents our community's way of running the map. Our primary goals are efficiency, constant movement, and profit. Our runs also come with the expectation of a significant part of the squad having proper builds, meeting all requirements and following commanders at all times unless otherwise instructed. This is why you will have different results if you compare LFG runs to our own. These are the mentioned requirements themselves. I'll leave them on for a few seconds. Pause the video to see if you qualify for the mandatory ones. When stripped down to its most basic principles, this map is about escorting 3 different squads of allied NPCs to establish forward camps from which you fortify their areas of influence through completion of nearby events, until all 3 are ready to launch an assault on Kralkatorrik, thus beginning the meta. However, we don't initially look for fresh maps with Dragonfall. Our runs start by finding a map that is as close to the meta as possible. We then complete the meta and run the Farmtrain, then proceed to progress the map through a Keyfarm from the beginning until the second meta. The reason we do things this way is the fact that 2 metas combined with branded Mender events in between will bring you close to the Mistborn Coffer reward cap. A vast part of this run's profit is made up of volatile magic and its conversion into valuable materials such as trophies or leather, which can then be sold or mystic forged for great profit. All of these choices depend on the current market situation, but you can easily find what your current best bet is on our website, linked in the description. One of the ways through which your volatile magic gain can be boosted is buying Karmic Retribution from the Mistwarden Quartermaster. What I am about to explain now applies to all Living Story Season 4 maps, but due to the way reward distribution was made in Dragonfall, it towers above the rest in terms of profitability. After you acquire the Volatile Magic Resonance Mastery from the Crystal Champion Mastery line, every mob with the loot table that you kill in LS4 will drop a random amount of volatile magic to accompany whatever other drops you got from them. For example, if you killed a mob that dropped 1 piece of unidentified gear for you in LS4, they will also drop a certain amount of volatile magic. This is where Karmic Retribution comes into play. What Karmic Retribution does is force every mob you kill to drop a consumable item which gives you a certain amount of karma when you consume it. So basically, it grants you volatile magic drops from every mob you kill, while without it, you would have to hope for the mobs to drop something else in order to give you volatile magic. Since karma itself is an extremely marginal resource that has very specific uses, you don't have to bother purchasing Retribution tiers higher than 1, as that's enough to make mobs drop the consumable items that will always guarantee you a volatile magic drop. Another thing you will need with you is either an infinite tool with the Glyph of Bounty equipped, if you have them, or a harvesting sickle of bounty, which you can acquire from gathering tool vendors in any major city or hub area. Dragonfall is absolutely loaded with Mistborn modes, which are this map's variant of unique collectible nodes in LS4, and it has many more nodes of this type than you would find in other maps of the season. These modes are also consumable for high amounts of volatile magic, and the effectiveness of the bounty mechanic on plant nodes, which Mistborn modes are, bolsters your mode gain by a lot. With these essentials covered, we can move on to the map itself. In an optimal situation, the run will start at a nearly finished pre-meta map. The pre-meta period is the most unremarkable part of the run. It has players distribute equally around the entire map, doing area capture and defense events for groups of NPCs. There are a total of 12 events, with 4 in each zone. You just have to scatter and kill branded. There's literally nothing more to this part. After all of these events are finished, a 2-minute countdown to the meta begins. The meta and the champ train are extremely dependent on the group's DPS. High damage and offensive support builds, which you can also find on our website, will go a long way toward making this part go seamlessly. The squad regroups at the Southwest Shrine for the meta's beginning. As DPS is a big deal, make sure to eat either the power or condi food the commander puts down, depending on your build. While all builds are fine, a power build will do you much more good for the weak points, as they die far too quickly for conditions to ramp up properly. Stock up on Dragon's Blood Spears. They are very, very, very potent and much better than anything you have in your arsenal. You must use these on the weak points off cooldown. Not only do they hit multiple times for insane damage and deal bonus damage to branded, but they heal you based on damage dealt, and they make all your hits apply vulnerability to the target, in addition to applying 10 vulnerability and 10 bleeding by default. These things are absurd, and you have no excuse not to use them. The meta consists of jumping between 12 of Kalkatoric's weak points and destroying them before branded menders can seal them again. However, due to the fact that Dragon's Blood Spears are stupidly broken, menders are absolutely inconsequential. During the meta, 1 or 2 people need to take care of crystal pylons that appear in the air around Kalkatoric's body, as having 10 of them up will result in the creation of an electric field that pulses constant damage and renders weak points invulnerable. After 6 weak points are destroyed, the pattern is interrupted by 3 branded lieutenants which need to be killed at the same time to make weak points available once again. These are mostly standard branded foes, including a Riftstalker, a Hydra, and a Wrathbringer from Thunderhead Peaks. Make sure to split evenly to ensure their simultaneous deaths. Afterwards, continue following the commander between weak points. In front of you is an image with boss locations and the path we take during the meta. I'll leave it on for a while so you can see what's going on. Again, feel free to pause the video if you want to look at the path in greater detail. We use the minute of respite after the meta and before the first champion spawn to open the Mistborn coffers and harvest the guaranteed Mistborn spawns around the Northwest Shrine. We then begin the champ train with the lane-fused banded ogre and follow the champion route as marked on this map. After all the champions are dead, we clear the guaranteed moat spawns around the Southeast Shrine and follow a path along the dense cluster of possible spawns in the north and northeast. Soon after, the map resets. Now, we beetle up and go to the bridge events, first in the Burning Forest and then in Melandru's Lost Domain. We turn in 1 part per member and then stack on the first spawn of the Melandru escort, with 1 or 2 people staying behind in the escort circle so they can move on, preferably someone who can provide constant super speed to the NPCs. Escorts are done in the order of Melandru, Burning Forest, Underworld, unless we have the misfortune of people outside the squad attempting to escort things on their own. Each of the events has a branded champion spawn at the end that functions much like the lay-infused champions after the meta. After the escorts comes the Keyfarm. This is where you earn the keys necessary to open all those Mistborn coffers during the 2 metas and champ trains. The Keyfarm is going to be the bulk of the run, as it takes the most time to complete by far. We focus on rotating the shortest events throughout the map in order to obtain as many keys as possible. Every event you help complete, regardless of your participation, whether it be gold, silver, bronze, or even just a bouncy chest without a medal, grants you 1 Mistborn key, with Mender events granting 3. The events we rotate between will be the so-called Smalls and Storms, as well as the 3 champions of each zone, the Nature Elemental, Abyssal, and Arbiter. Occasionally, we will run into some other events, such as the so-called Forces, or the Derv Abomination and Effigy escorts, which we may tag but will not stick around for, unless they directly interfere with what we're doing, such as the Forces event stalling a Mender event NPC, for example. Another pair of events that we may be fortunate enough to run into and tag extra spawns on are the Soulbinder Supply Bull and Agi escorts in the Underworld, which may coincide with the Underworld Mender event. Speaking of Menders, these events start spawning after a camp has reached tier 3, or, in the case of Underworld, tier 2, because that makes sense somehow, and they stop spawning after a camp has reached tier 4. They are visible globally and are indicated by the orange slice-looking event icon on the map in each of the camps. When these spawn, we complete a rotation of the zone we're currently in and rush over to their location. Profit-wise, Menders are the most valuable event in the Keyfarm, as they spawn 3 Mistborn coffers upon defeat, much like the Farmtrain events, but die far quicker than other champions. As for the main events that contribute towards tier progression, such as the Gathering events, Crystal Assemblers, Brand the Debris, or the ever so beloved landing zone, also known as the most well-designed event in the game, we detour for them as it's convenient during our small champ and storm rotation. When all the camps have reached tier 4, the pre-meta begins. What happens from now onwards has been covered near the beginning of this guide, so you know what to do. That does it for our guide to Dragonfall. If you had trouble or questions about... Why did it move me? If you had trouble or questions about this map and our runs, I hope they are now answered. If you would like to see more guides for other open world content and you got here in a way other than our website, make sure to check it out. The link is in the description. I'll see you in the farm trains.